Is it?
It's still up there.
Oh, but you're. All right.
I had your job. I don't be ready for something.
We'll call this meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the City of Callaway Board of Commissioners. It is Tuesday, January 27th, 2026, at 6 p.m. If y'all will stand with me, Commissioner Birdsell will give the invocation, and Commissioner Griggs, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Thank you, Lord, for allowing us to meet tonight. I pray, Lord, that you would help guide our decisions, help them be fair and just. Thank you, Lord, for our citizens coming out for their support and offering their voices to us, Lord. I pray that we would always take that into consideration and do everything in honor of you. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk, please do a roll call.
Commissioner Birdsell.
Present.
Commissioner Griggs.
Here.
Commissioner Pelletier.
Here.
Commissioner Ayers.
Here, ma'am.
Mayor Henderson.
Here. Okay, now, gentlemen and ladies, if y'all would come down front with me, we have a special presentation tonight. If y'all, everybody come down. Deputy McKenzie, if you will come up, please, and Captain Brandon, y'all can come up too if you'd like to. We read this for everybody to hear, and then we'll present it to you. In appreciation of service, Deputy Kit McKenzie, in grateful recognition of your 42 years of dedicated service in law enforcement and more than 7 years of exemplary service to the City of Callaway, your commitment, professionalism, and steadfast dedication to protecting and serving our community have left a lasting impact. With sincere appreciation and respect, City of Callaway. Thank you.
Come on, Timbo. You always got that podium in mind.
Yes. Like the city manager, do something about that.
It's been fun, but I want to tell you, I have loved each and every one of you guys. I love the citizens. Y'all have been my family. I mean, y'all have just treated me so well. Y'all have always been very supportive of anything we've done out in the community. You're supportive of the sheriff's office, and I'm leaving you in good hands, though. We have a lot of really good deputies out there, and I know Captain Brandon will pick someone along with the sheriff that'll fill in and do just as good a job. But you'll always be my friends, and I'm always open if y'all buy me lunch. Just give me a call.
Well, I guess now we'll have to get on with business. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Mayor, we want to pull item number 6, please.
Okay. participation, just a real quick review of the rules. I don't think there's anybody here that hasn't been before, but when I'll call for public participation, you can speak on each agenda item if you so choose. When I call for public participation, just indicate you want to speak. When you're recognized, come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record if you so choose. And then you'll have 3 minutes to speak on, whichever item you're speaking about. At the end of the meeting, if there's something that wasn't on the agenda that you want to bring up, you go through the same procedure, and then once you state the name and address if you want, then you'll have 3 minutes to speak on whatever non-agenda item you want to. So we will go on to approval of minutes. We've got the minutes of the commission workshop of January 9th, 2026, the regular meeting of January 13th, 2026, and the commission workshop of January 20th, 2026. Were there any comments or changes to those minutes that anybody had? If not, I would entertain a motion either on one or all three.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second on approval for all 3 minutes. So if there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and our finance director, is he not here tonight?
No.
Okay, well, he did a great job to get financials done for December, so kudos to him, and if anybody has a question, I'm sure he'll be in the office if y'all could get with him and find out your question, get your answer to your question. Okay, we'll go on to item number 1. Ordinance number 1137, rezoning 7100 Cherry Street, and we'll open the public hearing.
This is ordinance number 1137, an ordinance rezoning for multifamily medium density to R5 residential single family at certain parcel of land located in the city of Callaway, Florida, consisting of approximately 2.97 more or less acres. Said parcel is located at 7100 Cherry Street, Callaway, Florida. Parcel ID 06810000000. All is more particularly described in the body of the ordinance. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing that this ordinance shall take effect immediately upon passage.
Okay, city manager, do you have any comment on this?
Mr. Fry says we have no comments. Just to remind everybody, we're actually removing a mobile home designation and going to residential.
Yes, and this is the second reading.
Correct.
So did anybody here have any comment or question?
No. The five homes on, Bertha, or Buick. Even though this is no longer M's, these 5 homes are still being allowed, those properties are still being allowed to be, mobile homes.
Mr. Fry?
Correct. Currently, it is a non-conforming mobile home park, and it will remain so until it does away with it for a period of 6 months. Then they will lose their non-conforming status.
Okay, so
No, that's not 6. Clarify that, because I heard what was incorrect. That mobile homes have to go away, and they have to be vacant or removed for 6 months, and then it loses its non-conforming. But as it stands now, the mobile homes can stay.
well, mobile homes can say, I understand that, but if the mobile home is talked about, one gets fired, develops a fire, they can come back with another mobile home,
Yes, sir.
as long as they do it within 6 months.
Well, if it's just one, then, it's got to be beyond 51% for a 6-month period.
Right.
So we got rid of a few of them after Hurricane Michael.
Okay, so after 6 months, if they don't replace that home, then they can't put a mobile home back in that.
That corridor is going to remain a non-conforming mobile home park.
They're not
Okay,
individual
so
lots.
the corridor, not the individual lots that are,
Correct.
not the
Yes.
individual.
You're looking at it as a whole project.
Okay, that's what I wanted to clear up.
Okay, so I'm good.
Anything else from anybody? Did anybody in the audience wish to comment on this item? Not seeing anybody, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll motion that we approve ordinance number 1137, rezoning of property located at 7100 Cherry Street.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, city clerk?
Commissioner Bertha,
Yes.
Commissioner Briggs,
Yes.
Commissioner Pelletier,
Yes.
Commissioner Ayers,
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes. Okay, we will close the public hearing and we will go on to the regular agenda. Item number 2, ordinance number 1132, City of Callaway 2065 Comprehensive Plan Update, first reading. It's just 26, not 2046?
46.
2046. That's what I thought when I read that, I thought that don't sound right. So it's 2046 Comprehensive Plan Update.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I know it's a little bit different because this is our first reading, but it would still be considered a transmittal hearing, so it's really technically a public hearing. We do it, we'll do 2 of them. So just we allow people to talk on all our
Right.
first readings anyway, so it's fine. This is ordinance number 1132, an ordinance amending the comprehensive plan of the city of Callaway, specifically to adopt city-initiated amendments pursuant to section 163.3184 Florida statutes. 1, update the goals, objectives, and policies of the future land use, transportation, housing, infrastructure, coastal management, conservation, recreation, and open space, intergovernmental coordination, economic and capital improvements, elements of the comprehensive plan. 2, to update the future land use map series, providing for severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing for an effective date. And again, we'll need a vote to transmit this to the state board for review.
Okay, city manager, do you have anything to say?
Mr. Fry, Mr. Greer?
Good evening, I'm Ray Greer. My address is 2910 Garyport Parkway, Dallas, Florida. And as Kevin had mentioned, this is the transmittal hearing, this is the first reading of the ordinance, but so as we had talked about in the workshop, if you move this forward tonight, what we'll do is transmit it to the state, so it goes to the state, Florida Department of Commerce, and then all the state reviewing agencies. It goes to them for 30 days. They will conduct a review and provide us back any comments, recommendations, or objections that they have. And it comes back, that letter will come back to the city. We'll take that letter and then go through any of the comments, recommendations, objections they have, and any other additional changes. I know Commissioner Ayers has sent me some stuff, some small changes. I just received some, I think, that he's going to give you today. These changes, as I mentioned, during our workshop, what we can do is after we transmit this, we can make these changes before we adopt it. So what we're doing, we're transmitting this amendment. We're not adopting it today. It doesn't become final for a couple more months. It'll come back to you. And as I mentioned, if you want to do another workshop, again, before we move forward with the adopted part, we can, just so you're clear on all the changes and you go through them again, and then you move forward with adoption. So that'll be in a couple months from now. So this is just transmitting for review time.
Great, I want you to teach you. I noticed there was 2 page 15s. I'm sure that's just an accident. Yeah, I was trying to refer to my notes, and it was page 15, and it wasn't there, and I flipped it over, and that was page 15 also.
Yeah, anything like that.
Yeah.
And what I'll do again is between what leaves here in the transmittal and what comes back when we get ready to adopt, I'll make another list and we'll have a list of all the changes and distribute them. And then if you prefer, we can do a workshop or however you want to do it. And then go through that again before we go for the adoption in a couple of months.
That's probably what we need to do at that point, have a workshop.
Yeah, it gets all the questions out there and allows us to address them.
you might change over just grammatical stuff, so. No
Yeah.
contention.
We can look at that at the adoption.
Yes, sir.
Everybody did say the page numbers will fluctuate while all the red lines in there, when that goes out, it'll.
I'm sure it'll contract.
Anybody else have any, I know you had comments, does anybody else have any? Anything to?
No, outside of Ray, all the notes that I've made in looking at the various revisions that we have here, you made those changes, or there's a reason why those changes weren't being made. So, I'm satisfied with where we are so far. And, I don't know if there's, and thank you for what you've done. So, I'm good.
Okay, if nobody else up here, did anybody in the audience want to comment? Mr. Bopak, I was waiting, I thought, sure, he had something.
My comments are all marked with paper clips in this one. Paul Bopak, 7010 Mike Lane. I also handed each of you a copy of what I extracted directly from this document, which was the last revision. I used the same approach I do on any of my reviews. I highlighted and marked through with yellow, in yellow, those words that I thought needed to be deleted. And I used a different color font to mark the words that I thought should be added in on those areas where I thought there was a need for additional verbiage. I gave you a copy rather than try and go through item by item. I invite you to review and either agree or disagree. I gave the gentleman a copy for his own use, as well as Mr. Fry. I thought that would be the most expedient way to address my concerns. Does anybody have any questions you want to ask? You have about a minute and 43 seconds.
I like the way you think.
I think it looks,
Okay,
I think it looks
for your
good.
time.
And maybe you can allow Mr. Greer just to look over and make sure they make sense, and if they don't, then not accept it, but if it does make sense, then just fine.
Well,
That's agreeable to you.
I'm looking forward to the revision, to the revision, to the revision, to the revision.
It's a process.
Is the commission good with Mr. Greer using his, his judgment as far as any of these changes?
Yeah, any further changes to this ordinance will have to be done after our next workshop and prior
That's true with
Adoption.
adoption.
Yeah.
So we're clear on that, you leave it up to Ray. Okay. Anybody else want to comment? I don't see anybody. Yes, so if somebody would like to make a motion as stated.
I'd like to make a motion as stated. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, we're voting to transmit, so if there's no more discussion, City Clerk.
Commissioner Greer,
Yes.
Commissioner Pelletier,
Yes.
Commissioner Ayers,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Bertzel,
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes. Oh, we made it to step one. Thank you, Mr. Greer, for your work on this, for getting us to this point. Okay, we will go on to item number 3, ordinance 1134. I'm not gonna read that whole thing, well, I guess I can. Petition for voluntary annexation of 8443 and 1033 Highway 22 and other unaddressed properties.
Okay, this is a first reading of an annexation. And as you see, we've got an annexation, large scale comp plan, and a rezoning, all related to the same three items. So this is the first reading of ordinance number 1134, an ordinance annexing the following unincorporated area of Bay County, which is contiguous to the city of Callaway, Florida, upon petition of the owner of said property. Property containing approximately 1,098.07 acres and consisting of property ID numbers 06617 015 000, 06617 040 000, 06642 000 06644 000 06645 000 and a portion of 06700 as more particularly described in the body of the ordinance, redefining the boundary lines of the city, providing for repeal of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, and providing that this ordinance shall take effect immediately upon passage.
Mr. Fry. Kevin, I missed that last part. Could you read it again?
TIDS should be THIS.
So as Kevin mentioned, this is 1,098 plus acres, by far the largest annexation the city's had since the chartering of the city. This is the property just east of Park Place, goes almost all the way to 2297. Some of it goes all the way through to Old Bicycle Road. We have large utilities, water and sewer that literally wrap right around that property. So we'll get some good accounts for that investment we made 20 years ago.
This is all part of the capital extension area.
Yes, sir. The planning board recommends approval, as do I. Ray is representing St. Joe in this project. So if you have any questions here, I will certainly be able to answer them for you.
Anybody have questions?
I have concerns with it, but I can't talk about that yet. We'll talk about the reason.
Okay. Nobody has any? Okay, does anybody in the audience have any comment about the petition for voluntary annexation? Not seeing anybody. Would somebody like to make a motion regarding the annexation?
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 1134, petition for voluntary annexation of 8443 and 10330 Highway 22 and other unaddressed properties and all the parcel IDs listed thereafter.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second, and this is the first reading. We'll have a second reading. This is our next meeting.
Wait, no. Clark's County.
Yes. This is tied to the large scale land use amendment, so the land use amendment will go to the state. For review also.
This is large scale.
And then
So then we'll be,
It'll be, so we can comment to that.
okay,
So, no, not for this game.
okay. Okay, so we've got a motion and second, so there's no further discussion. City clerk?
Commissioner Pelletier,
No.
Commissioner Ayers,
Yes.
Commissioner Birdsell,
No.
Commissioner Briggs,
yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes. Okay, we'll go on to agenda item number 4, which is ordinance number 1135, large-scale comp plan amendment of the same parcel as the last item.
Right, this is the first reading of ordinance number 1135, an ordinance amending the comprehensive plan of the city of Callaway, acting upon the application of the St. Joe Company designating for low-density residential. Future land use certain parcels of land lying within the city of Callaway, Florida, containing approximately 1,098.070 more or less acres and consisting of property ID numbers 06617 015 000, 06617 040 000, 06642 000, 06644 000, 06645000000, and a portion of 067000000, particularly described and defined in the ordinance, amending the city's future land use map for low density residential designation for the parcels, repealing ordinances and parcel ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing that this ordinance shall take effect as provided by law.
City manager?
Thank you, Scott.
So a few years ago, they changed the law to where anything over 10 acres, or it was anything over 10 acres required a large-scale comprehensive plan. And they changed it to 50. And I thought, well, we'll never have a large scale again. Well, I was wrong. This is gonna change the future land use map, large-scale comprehensive plan, like Ray mentioned. It does go to the state, so there will be a pause before this comes back. So usually, we just come back at the next meeting, it will be 1 or 2. Ray, do you have an estimate on how long it takes the state to turn things around?
It's 30 days
About 30 days.
from the day we submit.
If you have any questions, we'll do our best to answer.
I just want to confirm, this is related to low-density housing.
This is the future land use map, you're putting it as low density residential.
Low-density residential.
Right now, it has a county designation. We need to give it out.
Okay. I'm good with that.
And the county, and the county designation is conservation?
Conservation habitation.
Yes.
So the county's conservation habitation is 2 units a acre. So roughly, it's 1,090 acres. You can have 2,000 units on the property today in the county. And so this isn't, the future growth area, it's inside your service area. You do have utilities out there. It is a logical extension of the city. It's inside the area that the county and the city has agreed on that the city will grow in and become part of the city. So this would be an extension. This is a large, it's 1,000 acres, but this is a long-term plan too. And this is going into a comprehensive plan that's, of course, goes out 1 year with a planning horizon. This also would be a long-term development. It would be developed over the next 10 to 15 years, 20 years, depending on market conditions. This property is 1,098 acres or 99 acres. It does have 527 acres of large contiguous wetlands that will remain large contiguous wetlands. So it does have a lot of buffering involved that will remain inside the development itself. You'll have to work around the development or the wetlands to develop it, which is, a common thing. And it's the way to position on the property. If you look at the aerials, it makes it where you can lay out single family relatively pretty efficiently throughout that and leaving those large wetlands. Yeah.
When you get that much area, and realize it's gonna be lengthy over a great deal of time, some of it may not be around, but, and when you have that much development, there's single family housing, but when you have that much development, that there's gonna be an occasion sometime in the future where part of that may end up being, city commercial, this kind of thing, or be brought before the board at that time. So right now, all of it is, by this plan, all of it is single family residence. But in the future, things can be changed, but it would be coming before the commission.
Yes, anything like that would have to come before the commission. And St. Joe Company owns more property adjacent to this also. They own considerable more property adjacent to this. It's all inside your service area.
And there's some adjacent property that, say I'm somewhat aware that when this starts to develop, even though there's somewhat residential properties on the backside over there, are going to be requesting changes to commercial or whatever. This is not the end of it. This is just the beginning of the way it's gonna go, but it's all gonna come before the planning board and before us again.
I have problems with the whole project, the simple fact that we're sitting here discussing this and none of us are thinking about the congestion that we have on 22 now, on top of what we've already approved back here and also the St. Joe project. 22 is already overgrown as it is. We can talk all day long, we're number one on the TDC list and all that good stuff. There's not been any funds for expansion of 22. Ain't gonna be anytime soon because they're funded all the way out. So we're sitting here thinking a possible 2,000 homes, another 6,000 cars, possibly, on top of, the 1,000 that we already have approved. And I really think that we need to put the horses on this and slow down a little bit and think of our infrastructure before we start doing and adding on and adding on and adding on. Yeah, we're gonna collect money, but we're gonna spend money too, because you're gonna need more law enforcement, you're gonna need more fire department, you're gonna need more and more. And that lure tax that we're gonna collect on those homes is not gonna pay for that. Okay, that ain't gonna happen. We all know that lure tax that we're collecting only pays right now, not even pay for our fire department. So, we're making these decisions and maybe long range. I don't agree with it for the simple fact that, first of all, I live off Highway 22. I can't even get out of my home half the time. And y'all, at City Hall has the same problem in the morning and the afternoon. The cars are backed up from Highway 98 all the way up to this area, for hours at a time from 4 to 6:30. And all we're gonna do is add the congestion with no infrastructure improvement other than we're number one on the plan. And there's no money there, probably won't be any money for anytime soon.
Now, one question I would have, you said yourself that it's in the county right now, this conservation habitation, so they could build houses on it right now.
They built 2,000 units on it.
That would add to our congestion on the highway, and Callaway would get nothing.
What are we getting? Ad valorem tax?
Well, we're gonna get ad valorem taxes, we're gonna get impact fees.
Special compensation.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they can do it, but then it's their responsibility to provide law enforcement, not ours. You can sit here all day long and say that we're gonna make money on it. You don't make money on new construction. You're gonna make initially money, but at the end, the infrastructure is gonna have to grow with it. And we're not growing the infrastructure. We're adding all these homes. What's gonna happen to our water pressure? I keep on hearing, well, it's okay, until such time, we made a mistake and it's not correct.
They would be on our water system as well,
I
in our
understand.
service area.
But it's easier said than done, is that, we need to be thinking about the people that live from here all the way down on 22. That's why I don't agree with it.
Bill, how's our capacity?
Oh, the county owns the tank and the pumps. There's 3 major pumps and 1 pony pump. Right now, the pony pump's just kind of barely spinning, so we got plenty of capacity for water. And the sewer lines are huge coming back to AWT2, which is at Veterans Park. So I'm really not concerned about water or sewer capacity.
Nobody is.
And also, we all know we're gonna have expansion of Gulf Coast Parkway, which is gonna be part of those pumps, okay? So I just think that, we ought to be thinking of what we're doing now and what's gonna affect the city of Callaway in the future.
Well, but very honestly, and I'll address this with you as well, because if you think of this from a business standpoint, think of this for as an investment, investment standpoint. If you think of what we can take to the state, what we can take to the various entities, including the federal government, is we have a situation here where we can actually take documents to them and saying, we're just not shooting. In other words, we got the plans for the need for and it's not a mystery plan. Here it is in the document.
You've had the plans for 8 to 10 years on Highway 22, nothing's happened.
That's true.
You know,
That is disappointing.
Yeah, we invested
But at
in
least we got the
Allergen
plan.
too, you know, and what do we have, a debt?
Now, years ago, the commission, not this commission, but the commission looked ahead and saw that we were gonna have another 7,000 units out there. And therefore, we needed to, and actually went out and borrowed $20 million.
Yeah, and we didn't know.
Because at least they had the vision that we, and unfortunately now, because of their vision, and what we do today, our vision is going to affect positively, I firmly believe positively, this city and this
20 years
area.
ago, waiting for this day to come.
Right.
Now, they thought it was gonna come in 2 years. And it came in
It just took a while.
18 years, or 11 years. And I think what Commissioner Griggs was trying to say is, with the being a state road and all that, just sitting there saying, hey, it's agricultural and conservation, that's obviously not moving the needle. But if you go to the state and say 22, no, we've got low density residential, 1,000 acres, that might move the needle. That's, I think, that's what he's trying to say.
Right, I know what he's trying to say, it's just that it hasn't moved it, and we're thinking it's gonna move it, but then we're gonna add all this pressure on Highway 22, and you and I probably will not be here when it happens, you know, but at the end of the day, I don't agree with it, and that's my opinion. You all have your own opinion.
Well, I probably won't be here the way this one developed out. But I feel like I have an obligation now to give the city the opportunity to have this. And it being in the city, as we're annexing this in the city, at least we have some revenue, if you will, and some, rather than just our water and sewer revenue coming in from it. And these are homes, not necessary, not, you know. So there's just so many pluses to this over time that I can only see voting for.
Once we annex this in, are we gonna start collecting taxes from St. Joe?
Yeah, the property taxes,
Property tax?
it will become the part of the city.
Once it's annexed, yeah, do it.
It will no longer be
If it's
agricultural.
1,000, well, you saw whatever it is, you know,
Yes, sir.
7 parcels, so we'll get
It's
that.
undeveloped, you're not gonna have that much in taxes.
Yeah, but we'll be getting, for whatever it is for development.
Gotcha. That's right. And how far out in the future do they see the development?
But in, like all residential development, it's market driven. But I mean, a play this big, a development of this size could be 10, 15 years, 20 years, you know, for it to develop. Callaway's growing that way. It is an area that has utilities. It's an area that, you know, has the ability to grow. And I know 22 has problems and 22's had problems. And that is something that's on the long range plan, as y'all know, with the TPO and the DOT. And it is something that it's going to have to, you're going to have to work with DOT. And, you know,
In fact, the state 22 is part of an evacuation route, so they will expand. So, from 2 lanes probably to 4, you know, within time.
and then any future development out there also pay transportation impact fees that can go also to the improvements on 22.
Yes, sir.
So the future development out there, it helps.
It's a big road. Maybe we can tie some.
And most of the things we know about, I guess, and Paul, for example, is part of the group that's coming up with the long range plan for, and there's just so many pluses involved here. And as far as evacuation, roads, we're looking at roads going from Highway 22 on connecting up into 231 and other areas up there going north. Well, we got some roads out there now that just basically dead end. but those are part of a long-range plan for extension out there. So,
Yeah, the Golf Coast Parkway too, you know, the future legs of the Golf Coast Parkway will go that way.
and this potential development, gives us ammunition for moving things up the list and really fighting for the money.
And we did evaluation of, the utilities, water and sewer, you know, based on complete build out, which we have to do for the state and with traffic. And yes, 22 is impacted and, you know, a couple other areas, but 22 is the main, you know, impact area because 22 has problems now.
Mhm.
And it is, you know, a road that has to be, you know, four-laned in the future.
It's gonna be a road and a bridge.
Yeah.
So how are you gonna get a bridge funded? Because everything we're building on this side of the bridge. And so we've been talking for 10 years on 22, now we're gonna be talking about a bridge.
I mean, you know, you want to get into a lot of the weeds, the AWT. Now, we've got enough designation in the AWT, but with everything else that is being pushed by other cities as well, the AWT, even though our designation would be fine, they're actually pushing for theirs. So there's going to be more done with the area treatment.
Yeah, the county's looking at, you know, the county's planning now for future expansion of the AWT and the global water system.
Right.
Of both utilities, long range.
And I have also spoken with Mark McQueen. I sent him the document over, showing the estimated number of kids. And so the school's starting to consider what their future needs are gonna be.
And we did do a school analysis that's in the document also.
That's what I said.
However, city manager, we don't have any land for school, correct?
Actually, the school has a big area back behind there, where that tower is. All that area back there belongs to the school.
I understand the infrastructure is there and all that's there, it might be a good thing, but the problem is that I think we're racing into something versus slowing down a little bit and think what we're doing in the future. You know, Highway 22 is a pain, it has been a pain, it's gonna be a bigger pain. When this starts construction out here, we're gonna add another, 1,200 cars on the road on top of the probably 150 to 200 on what we just approved across the street. And then, as you all know, I think, you all know when that bridge is built, they're probably gonna close a lot of their operations and run everything here at the shipyard. Because then they'll be able to get their ships underneath that bridge. So that will expand, and that traffic there will expand.
Isn't it great? I mean,
Maybe great for you, but
everything you're talking about.
You don't live off of Highway 22 right now. You don't live with the irritations of traffic being backed up for hours at a time.
No.
So it's great for you because you're on the other side of town. I'm looking for the people that live in my particular ward, in this particular area. It's great, yeah. We're talking about we're gonna make money. Initially we are, but at the end of the day, once we've collected all that, it's not gonna pay for our fire department. It's not gonna pay for our law enforcement. It doesn't even pay for it now.
They'll just raise our taxes.
So, we think it's great that, we're not thinking about, oh, wow, we're gonna add impact to, we're gonna need additional deputies. We're gonna need probably additional fire station or firemen,
But we're required to cover that even if it's, if
but they pay us for that.
if they build in the county,
Right.
then we're still gonna be covering for them.
But they pay for
Fire
We're still gonna,
stations.
yeah, we're still gonna be providing them fire. We'll be the first responders.
They'll have to add to our totals.
The sheriff does.
This is a long range,
I mean, that's a long range.
Big phase in,
Yeah.
Well, I know you say that the fire department will be the first response, but as a first responder, going throughout the county here, the county will respond to their place that's in the middle of Panama City somewhere just because of how it's carved out. That's just who has to show up. So the EMS system, or first responder system, is pretty messed up when it comes to how they're dispatching that stuff. So I don't know that Callaway would be the first that was called out for it.
I mean, we actually manned the substation for the county, out toward East Bay.
Yep.
So
Yeah, but it's empty.
everything over here, it's our to respond. The brush fires that occurred out 22 and all that, a couple of years ago, we were there.
I'm not saying we're not there. I mean, experience is that it is not that cut and dry. If it's county property, which it currently is, would Callaway go there? Likely, because we are close, but that's not a guarantee. Like, it's county, so that's probably who's gonna go out with that.
Well, we did that interlocal service boundary agreement a couple of years ago. So I know Panama City, I do not think has one, most possibly they don't, but Woodhaven did one, Callaway did one around the same time. So to cover the enclaves that you're talking about, so we actually did an agreement. The enclaves about 3 years ago, we did an agreement with them.
That's right, we did a service.
And we said, we're covering it anyway, and so we actually have an agreement that we would cover it. So that would avoid that here, a couple other cities, but Panama City, I don't think has that. But I assume, that 3 years ago, 100%, that's what would happen. The city wouldn't, they wouldn't come, obviously, but it would be the county's obligation to come. But we actually have an agreement that says we do it in those enclaves. And that was to help with annexations and filling in those enclaves to make the city more contiguous.
What else? Anybody?
I'm done.
Anybody else have anything in the large scale plan amendment? Before I open it up to. Did anybody in the audience want to comment? Yes, sir?
You can go next.
Martin Bossler, 6303 Wallace Road. Right across the street from my house right now, there are two of the Callaway cones. Shame if you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the nice pylons that are out there because we got a water leak and a sinkhole. I want to get in on the company that makes these cones because if we build that many houses over it, it's right here. How is our infrastructure for water and everything? You guys say it's gonna work out, but we can tell driving around our city right now, the infrastructure we currently have isn't working. So I don't see how people can sit up here and say, hey, you guys, everybody out here, everybody's watching, everybody lives in Callaway, the infrastructure's gonna be fine. I can't take my full-size truck down Cherry Street without needing a new alignment. Lord knows I got a friend that does alignments. He's making tons of money right now. So much money, I'm going and working at his shop every day. And I'm not joking. So I'm gonna start making these cones. I'll sell them to y'all for really cheap. Get a good deal on them. Thank you.
At the planning board in December, I believe they talked about the capacity of our water supply now, in that you were so close to having to do a review on that. It was almost at the percentage required to do a review, not a percentage required to upgrade or replace or add. But how will that factor into that, the capacity percentage that's required to do that review? And what does that review cover? Because this might put you over the edge to have to add lines, and then you're talking about obviously more money there too. I'm just wondering about that.
Mr. Friday, you have a comment?
Sure.
So for every subdivision or expansion of our public water system or the public sewer system, it's all required to be permitted through DEP. And DEP coordinates with the local people, us, and Bay County, the provider, the plant, whether it be the water treatment plant or the sewer plant. And it's all coordinated together. The capacities are calculated, made sure that the capacity is there. Bay County, as y'all know, we buy our water from Bay County, and we sell our sewer to Bay County. So they're quite aware of the expansions that we have coming in the future to increase, water supply, sewer treatment in the future.
Now, do you know what she's referring to about a percentage and requiring a review?
Yeah, whenever, we have an agreement with Bay County for water usage. And the last I heard, which was about a year and a half ago, we were at about 64% of what we were allocated. I've not checked on that lately, but we have expanded that rapidly. And as Ray mentioned, this project is probably gonna phase out over 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. So we got time to stay ahead of it.
So this shouldn't put us into a percentage that.
What are we allocated? You're telling us what we're using 64% of what we're allocated. What are we allocated? 100%?
We have a wholesale water agreement. I don't know the number of gallons, but it's a certain number of millions of gallons were allocated under our agreement, wholesale water agreement. And then also, remember, we did however many years ago, because I started here in 2011, we've already done it, the capital extension project to loop in all the sewer there. So we have the infrastructure's there. We built a big water tank. We've had a tank for $200,000 tank.
All those years.
But now the county has that because they're trying to divert some up to the north, but it's there and there's plenty of capacity. So, but I don't know the number of gallons, but it's
We're only using 64%
of whatever
the number is.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to know what that number is.
And what the percentage is that we can use.
Well, we can use 100% of what we're allocated, but we're only using 64% of it.
100%.
Yeah.
of our allocation.
Yeah.
And with those figures, these other entities, whether it be, Panama City or, even the county, when other developments take place in their area, all we're talking about here, we're covered with the city, with the sewer. We're covered, at least our allocation with the AWT and allocation with the water is there. So, if they're doing things properly as far as what takes place in these other areas, if those cities are already at 100%, then they're gonna be responsible for either turning down their project or at least paying for the additional. And it's not gonna be out of our 100%, it's gonna be added to. So that's what I say.
The county is on top of that, and every development comes along, they know what those numbers are and what's gonna trigger studies or additional work, and we deal with it all the time.
And we're in a very good position on this, because actually years ago, prior to Latter-day Saints taking over at least the north side primarily of Highway 22, everybody was seeing that the expansion in this area had to go east. Church of Latter-day Saints kind of cut out some of that thinking, but years ago, that's where that's where the whole county was looking, that we'd be going east. And that's one of the reasons that, with the water and sewer extension, that going through, and also understanding our allocations. So we're just starting to see what we were seeing back in 2005, 2006. You gotta correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, you were in planning, you were in code and planning back then. So you know the history. And those of us that were, Bam and I know the history of what was going on and all that business, and now we're finally getting at least part of it out there. So that's where to say this is this is the future, and I'm on the commission now, and I've got an obligation to see that future, and in this case, approve it. My feeling.
So with 2,000 new homes, what do we think the percentage would be of the water and sewer that we need for that?
I would be completely guessing, but it's not gonna jump us up to like 90%. You gotta think of how big the city is now. So, I mean, 2,000 homes is a lot of homes, but it's not,
Yes.
it's not gonna turn your sink on and not have water.
Right.
Anytime soon.
So we have way over 2,000 homes in the city of Callaway now, so I'm thinking maybe 10%, just as a swag.
I don't think it would be 10%.
That, yeah, I mean, that's a large number.
If you go back, and I keep throwing out that number, but actually the number I think was 7,200, when water and sewer extension was, that all that and preparation for it and the AWT and all that was for at least additional 7,200 units of homes, over here. Now, beyond that, things are gonna have to be done. So 20 years from now, they'll be looking at things a little bit differently, maybe adding wells and, whatever. But right now, we're covered for everything that we're planning, or that's coming before us to be planned. Ray, if I'm off, let me know.
And you gotta remember too, by statute, on any development, once you reach capacity of water, sewer, traffic, you don't issue development orders anymore. The development will stop when that happens. But again, we're not proposing a 2,000 unit subdivision.
Right.
This is a long-term development that will grow, through the next 10, 15 to 20 years. I mean, this is a long-range plan. But then you also have, a company, the St. Joe Company, which is a great partner to partner with on the future development, on the stuff that the city needs. They're a good partner to work with. And this stuff, the county, and you can, y'all know, because a lot of y'all do deal with the county, but the county is planning for the water and sewer expansions. They will have to be, future expansions for the city also on the allocations. And that's not only Callaway, that's all the cities are gonna have that. And the county knows that, long term. So the county's planning for 20 to 30 years out now on their utilities, because as Bill mentioned, they control both potable water and the sanitary sewer.
Ray, you mentioned if, things aren't being developed fast enough, there's stop work or stop work order, right? We're not gonna keep developing. Do we end up, what's the division off Primrose where the developer is not getting done anymore? Now, we just had issues at the end of last year with designation of land, roads are caving in, we have all those problems, and developers not going anymore, so do we end up with 1,100 acres?
They wouldn't develop. You wouldn't get that far. If you didn't have water and sewer, you wouldn't give them a development order.
Well, what about the road structure, like if
That's our
it still never gets done?
The roads that are here now.
You would never issue the development order. So that was more of a market-driven situation where, we did this whole expansion. We wanted East Bay and Laird Point, Laird Bayou, all these things, and St. Joe, other developers came. They prepaid. We had money sitting here for all that capacity, and the market just dried up. And so we issued the development orders because there was plenty of capacity. I think what Ray's saying is like, if you get to the point where you're out of capacity, you're not issuing a development order. Nobody's starting anything. It's a buzz.
Well,
You're
supposed to give us a quote, not,
Very honestly, and we've kind of hit on this before, but we can stop developing, and then we got a lot of money in restricted reserves that's going to have to be refunded to these people.
St. Joe.
If we don't go in the direction that we have been planning, we're not going to be able to keep the money that has already been put in reserves for some of this. So that can all be expanded out, broken out, but, as far as I'm concerned, we're going in the right direction.
Did anybody else in the audience want to comment? Ms. Langston? Okay.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Jeff Carnahan, 7752 Shadow Bay Drive. My wife told me to come here tonight. I mean, not that I don't come here anyway, but, she would like to see more allocations for schools in the county. 5 years ago, after Hurricane Michael hit here, they were gonna close down the elementary school here. Tyndall wanted to take it over and have everybody shipped to Tyndall. Absolutely ridiculous, and I know Pam fought hard to keep it here and everything else, you guys did too. But, we need schools, and if we're gonna annex this property and all, we need property set aside for schools. And that's my biggest complaint is the infrastructure here is absolutely ridiculous. Highways, like Bob mentioned, schools, everything. It needs to be well thought out, well maintained, and well planned. And just saying, okay, we're taking over this property, and it's designated low density housing. No, we have schools and everything else planned into it too. That's my thoughts on it.
I've got to make a comment. If you look up here, you've got 3 people, here, here, and here. And that Callaway School is here because of what these 3 people did at the time it occurred.
Yeah.
And we were right then, and very honestly, the things we're looking for with the school and potential, now, here again, we're on the right course, whether everybody can realize it and know it. I can't get into the details, but, no, we're very, very interested in the schools, and like I
So there's
say,
been communication.
yeah.
Yeah, like I say, I don't see the school land designated for schools or anything in this. It was all low density housing, and that's why I'm here.
Schools are allowed in low density. You can have schools on all your land schedule.
No, I want to see land designated for schools, not schools are allowed.
Well, I mean, this is privately owned property, so it's kind of difficult for us to say you have to designate.
We can say whatever we want.
Well, I mean, especially when they're just,
We're just trying to do an annexation,
yeah, I mean, it's not like they're developing anything.
Yeah, there's no development.
I mean, St. Joe is pretty generous in donating land for things like schools, so, you know, as things progress, that could very well happen. But, I mean, Callaway Elementary, there is a significant amount of land behind Callaway Elementary that belongs to the school district. So, you know, there is room there for that school to expand. I mean, they're not gonna build a high school in Callaway, you know, or junior high probably, so I mean, a lot of that's up to the school board too, it's beyond Callaway's control. Anybody, Ms. Langston, I know you wanted to comment. Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Teresa Langston, 6031 Lane Street. I don't even know where to begin on this. I mean, we've been waiting for the TPO to, 8 to 10 years to try to get 22, 4-lane to where we can handle the traffic. Couldn't get anything done for Callaway Elementary to keep the students safe because there were hazards with people dropping off their kids and kids walking to school and stuff. And remember that fiasco of trying to get something done and, well, the state didn't do anything for us on that. You get up here and you gaslight. I love using that word when I come to the commission meeting because that's pretty much what happens is you gaslight the citizens about, oh, we can do this and we can get that from the federal government and we can get this from the state. We can't get crap from the state, we can't get crap from the federal government. And you say that you're obligated for the future. Let's take care of what we got now. We can't fix our roads. We can't take care of the roads we have now. We can't take care of our water lines that we have now. There's just constant water breaks. I mean, you can't get them fixed in a timely manner. I guess it's kind of getting better, but and you get up there and you try to justify the future. We can't take care of what we have. And all that's gonna happen is we're gonna add homes and we're gonna have more water, and now our prices are gonna go up because, that's the way it goes, that the county's gonna see that we use more water. And it's gonna rely on the citizens and the taxes is what it's going to boil down to cover all the expenses for this expansion. And I think we need to take care of what we have. We're obligated to our current residents and our current citizens that voted you into office is what your obligation should be, not for what's gonna happen in 20 years right now, especially when we can't even fix what we have now. And I'm all for the city transparency and all that stuff. The citizens don't get transparency. The citizens don't get the representation from you guys. The engineers get them, the builders get them, St. Joe is getting them. You're up there trying to justify and campaign for St. Joe and why we should do this for St. Joe and why we should do that for St. Joe. There are a lot of conflicts with St. Joe, especially I think our city attorney represents St. Joe on some things. Do they not?
No. I'm adverse to them. No, I do not.
That I know that there's other different conflicts with different things that go on, but I think our obligation is to our current residents and our current citizens, and to fix the stuff that we have before we start planning on 2,000 more homes.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak? Mr. Bohat.
Paul Bohat, 7010 Mike Lane. I think y'all are forgetting that this piece of property is bordered by both State Road 22 and Bicycle Road. Bicycle Road, if you follow it, comes in and enters what road? Star Avenue. Star Avenue feeds off of Cherry Street, as well as enters at the intersection of 22 and Star Avenue. Star Avenue is scheduled to be 4-lane here within the next year. Star Avenue is scheduled to be 4-lane within the next 2 years. Certainly, both of those events will eliminate some of your concerns, Commissioner Pelletier, and there is nothing that prevents us from pushing the TPO to consider 4-laning State Road 22 beyond the current intersection of Star and 22. That's been the objective. It's already been introduced and is being considered for a shorter time period than 2045. I don't think if we introduce the idea that we're dealing with the additional 2,000, that they're going to be less reluctant to consider it, since they've entertained it with the idea of the new construction going in adjacent to this complex here, because they have already added it to their non-cis list. So I believe we have an improved chance to expedite its addition. I just thought I'd toss that out. Thank you.
Mr. Henry.
Don Henning, 431 Canyon Pass. I hope y'all approve this thing because the future is going to be better for us. Traffic's not going to, if we don't approve it now, you won't have the opportunity to do it again. Because up there on Star Avenue, Panama City is moving in this way. And there's going to be traffic more on 22, and then on Star Avenue there. And we're going to miss out on the property over here. I think it's a good idea that we got a new governor coming in, maybe get some more money from Sioux State Road 22, but we don't know. 20 million. So I think it's a good deal. Just traffic's gonna be there. About this to it. And if you wanna worry about the water and all that, you need to raise taxes in Callaway. When we road, you gotta add taxes in Callaway. That's all you gotta do it. We had a budget meeting, nobody went up to a wrong lorry. So, a good thing, you gotta raise taxes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manning. And, there's a piece of this tract that's gonna help. Like I said, it's county property right now, it could be developed, so they can develop it, whether Callaway annexes and does a large-scale comp plan amendment, and we're still gonna get the traffic. We'll get no money from anybody, but we'll still get the traffic. Anybody else want to speak of a large-scale comp plan amendment?
Can't wait for election time.
I don't see anybody. Everybody up here having no comment, or would someone like to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 1135, large-scale comp plan amendment, 8443 and 10330 Highway 22, and other unaddressed properties, parcel ID numbers as listed.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, City Clerk.
Commissioner Ayers,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Burnside,
No.
Commissioner Griggs,
Yes.
Commissioner Pelletier,
No.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes. We go on to ordinance number 1136, rezoning the property located at 8443 and 10330 Highway 22 and other unaddressed properties, parcel numbers are shown.
This is first reading of ordinance number 1136, an ordinance rezoning from Bay County Conservation Habitation, CBH and Agriculture, AG, to City of Callaway R6 Single Family Residential. Certain parcel of land containing approximately 1,098.0708 more or less acres and consisting of property ID numbers 06617, 015, 000, 06617, 040, 000, 06642, 000, 000, 06644, 000, 000, 06645, 000, and a portion of 0670000, particularly described in the body of the ordinance, amending the city's zoning map for R6 single-family residential for the parcels, repealing ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing that this ordinance shall take effect as provided by law.
City Manager.
Mr. Brown.
So this is just to get our local City of Callaway zoning map correct, for it to be zoned to R6 without any.
Anybody have any question or comment from Mr. Fry? Okay, Mr. Fry. Nobody has anything to say about the answer or the rezoning? Anybody in the audience want to comment on the rezoning?
They will listen anyway. So why?
Not seeing anybody. Would someone like to make a
I don't care
motion?
about what the citizens say.
Motion to approve ordinance number 1136, rezoning of property located at 8443 and 10330 Highway 22 and other unaddressed properties, parcel ID numbers as listed.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, City Clerk?
Commissioner Bergstrom,
No.
Commissioner Graves,
Yes.
Commissioner Pelletier,
No.
Commissioner Ayers,
Yes.
Mayor Henderson.
Yes. Okay, we hold item number 6. So we go on to item number 7, budget amendment, lab design of Bertha Avenue sidewalks project. City manager. I'm sorry, we do have a resolution, don't we?
No.
No, okay, that's all, that's from,
This is, as y'all know, we got extra funds from the state and it was allocated to the project. This is just the budget amendment reflecting those funds. It is a pass-through.
anybody have any question or comment about the budget amendment? Anybody in the audience want to comment on the budget amendment? Anybody? Need a motion on this item?
Motion to approve budget amendment, LAP, lab design of Bertha Avenue sidewalk project.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we go on to commission and staff comments. I really don't have a lot. The main thing I've been doing lately is keeping up with what the legislature's doing. So there are a lot of bills out there to be heard. I mean, some of them are good. I know there's a Senate bill and a House bill also that's trying to make some reforms to Bill 180, the one that we talked about with the comp plan, that you can't make anything more restrictive. They're trying to tone down some of that language. There are a lot of property tax bills being considered. They've not come up with one that they're going to settle on. There's a bill that's looking to repeal the local business taxes. I don't know if we collect very much of local business taxes. And this is a good one. There's a Senate bill or a House bill to allow cities to put the electronic legal notices on their own city website. You know, whether you could put it on the county, but they're trying to come up with a way that cities could put it on their own website. And they're looking again at the extraterritorial municipal utility accounts to reduce that 25% surcharge down to maybe 10%, which does a disservice to the cities in my opinion. But so there are a lot of things to keep an eye on and see which way it's going to go. And just for the record, the contract that y'all ratified for me to sign with what was the limit was 50 something.
Yeah.
I signed that, and what did it come in at, like 47?
It was $200 more.
Yeah,
Just
so
over
it was
$200.
well below the limit that I just wanted to know y'all had made that motion, and I did sign it, and it was well below the limit that y'all had approved.
And it was just that one, they took the 20% of 3,000 down to 15%.
It was very minor. Okay, we'll start with you tonight, Commissioner Birdsell.
Thank you. Over the last few weeks, I've been working with some citizens for some of their issues, guiding them how to get in touch with our city manager. I've heard some reports back from them that their issues have been resolved, mostly around water issues that they've had. And then I've also been trying to get more into some training for leading cities and things like that to get that started. Nothing else really.
Commissioner Griggs?
Well, just make everybody aware that, now a lot of things were brought up today, this evening, which involves money and long-range planning, which is part of what the TPO is all about. And, the TPO will be meeting, just give you early notice, on the 25th of February. So a lot of these things will be coming up when we're talking about the Highway 22 extension beyond what has already been approved up to Star Avenue. That's on the needs plan, which we'll be voting on the 25th, with Paul and Annie was part of that committee. So if you want to attend, got 3 meetings on the 25th. You start at 10:30 and
Spend the day.
spend the day. So, that's all I've got.
Okay, Commissioner Pelletier.
Just quickly, the speed signs on Chippewa, are we gonna do anything with that? You got 2 different signs.
We will. I went on vacation last week.
What are we gonna fix it to? We will, but what are we gonna fix it to? 15 or 25?
This week.
It should be 25, I think is what we established was our default. Did we find that document?
It's 25 unless the
25,
commission
yeah.
is designated.
25 unless otherwise designated, so be 25.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Bill, I should have done that way around.
Commissioner Ayers.
Yes, ma'am. Stater met with city manager a couple times, since last meeting and discussed the different projects within, Callaway and try to stay up with what's going on. Water leaks in Callaway, Point have been fixed very quickly. Thank you, and Bill, good job, appreciate it. I'm working on the annual job evals for the city manager and our city clerk. Attended Chamber of Commerce dinner, and also the keel laying at the shipyard in Allentown.
Okay, City Clerk, do you have anything for us tonight? No, ma'am. Okay, City Attorney? No? The City Manager, and just in case y'all didn't notice, this is our regular City Manager, he just got his hair cut and he shaved, so. He looks like a new City Manager, but he's our same old City Manager.
This is the guy that showed up for work, well, for the interview, actually, because I had long hair, before I interviewed.
No, but you were very clean cut when you interviewed.
We'll keep it this way for a while.
Okay, good.
I got tired of waking up in the mornings and flossing with my own hair. It got bad. My turn?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, we're good. The roundabout, they're working on sub base right now. They're on schedule, actually a little bit ahead of schedule. They're actually ripping up, boat race and getting all that ready. They'll get the sub base laid. They'll probably go ahead and get the asphalt down, and then they'll start working on sidewalks and grading, get the drainage right. Cherry Street, if you hadn't noticed, AT&T's been out there. They're moving lines. Tico has been boring down at the Star Avenue area where they're gonna move to next. And they're in the middle, they've got the infrastructure in between the houses. They still have to do a lot of finishing through there. I'm staying in contact with those residents, so that we keep them up to speed. And they're gonna be continuing to lay pipe, of course, as they go through. We are also replacing all of our service lines.
When will you move, what's the plan, when is the time frame to move up to Cherry, to Star?
I would have to look at and see what it is on the schedule. They're supposed to be sending me a revised schedule.
Okay, when you get that?
They're gonna go down, yeah, they're going down to Jan. And they were supposed to start on that today. They found some weird stuff under the ground as expected. There was a big drainage pipe that had been abandoned a long time ago and it was full of water and they didn't know what it was. And also as we're going through, after they go through an area, we're actually going back, our crews are going back and we're double checking. We're also casing all of our water lines and service lines that are going across the area. So we're actually, I know this afternoon, we spent the whole entire afternoon out there putting in service lines and found some abandoned lines that were still good. We've run all them up. So we're going through and making sure we're replacing all the lines. Our goal is to not have to tear that street up.
So it'd be nice.
Casing, yeah, we're trying to case everything we can, so that we don't have any issues with that. Hugh Thomas is They're still going full speed. They're gonna be laying asphalt here before long. Did have some issues, of course, with that, county water line and getting around that, but they found the workarounds to take care of all that. Lift stations, we started on that one lift station. That's one block off of, the roundabout, comment, that one's going full speed.
When is that supposed to be done?
I think it's gonna be a couple weeks.
Yeah, probably by the end of next week.
Yeah, that one will be completed. They'll move to the next one after that. West Cherry Street, that's the sidewalk from Tyndall to Bob Little. That construction should kick off next week, so we'll be putting in a sidewalk on Cherry Street there. That's a LAP project that's funded. Sandy Creek, we met with the Corps last week. While we were at it, we actually convinced them to go out now and look at the spillway, because we're waiting on Corps approval on both of those projects. And we got some very favorable determinations out of that we weren't impacting any wetlands. So we're waiting to hear back their final, so we can go ahead and get that project bid out. FlexNet, we're commissioning the new base station tomorrow and Thursday. And we'll start running some testing on that. You know, I don't know when we'll be operational, but we'll start our reads, start tailoring our files to have enough sitting, and it'll take some doing, but we're about as close as we've been in a long time. The paving, what we call the turnkey paving bid is out right now. It closes February 12th. Depending on how weather is, you know, we'll start doing some of our small projects that we've got slated to do, depending on how the weather works out. Finally, as y'all know, we just recently, we're doing the engineering to redo the streets on Beulah. And this year for our LAP project that's submitted, if y'all recall, we're going to be pulling those bike paths on both sides up. And we said we were going to be working on getting a sidewalk. I was told yesterday that we were the only entity that submitted for a LAP project, so we were ranked 1 of 1. So that project is now funded to put the sidewalk on Beulah from Cherry Street down to Moore Park. It's not official,
but since we're the only one,
it should be.
It should be.
Yeah. So pretty excited about that. We've managed to pull a LAP project or two almost every year. And that's where all our sidewalks coming from. And just to make sure everybody knows, LAP is funded 100% by the state. Although on South Beulah engineering, we're going to have some slight small additional expenses because the grant was not covering some of the wetlands engineering. And so we're looking at that now, trying to get the prices on what the additional charges will be for the design on that south. That'd be connecting Boat Race to Wallace, all the way down to Forsyth. It's probably going to be somewhere around $11,000, which will be the first time we've ever incurred an expense on a LAP project. But we're working in wetlands, and this is the first time this has come to us. But the state said they would not cover that part of it. I said, well, I'm sure we can deal with that to get a good sidewalk down through there. That's all I have.
I have a question, City Manager. We've not had a long discussion. You know, when we invested in this FlexNet, we talked about reducing the billing cycle, and there's not been any talk for quite some time. Have you guys, staff, been talking about how we're going to accomplish that fast? How we're going to get out of this 60-day cycle, billing cycle?
Until we get it good and operational, it's hard to, we don't know what we're dealing with yet, but our goal is, yes, we're going to try to cut that billing cycle down. That's one of our main objectives.
Well, you should know what you're dealing with. If it works the way it's supposed to work, then...
If it works, we should be able to push a button and pull in rates.
Right, exactly. And I know you're going to keep your meter reader. I understand that.
Yeah, we have to keep that. We'll have to have those positions.
I just want to make sure that, you know, we move forward with that we reduce the number of billing days.
I also wanted to, utility billing has been working extremely hard on some of their processes for notifications. And I know, several years ago, we were sending over 300 disconnects. They've been tweaking some of their processes internally on connecting. This month, we had the lowest month we've ever had. We only had 156 on our disconnect list.
I also saw you only had 10 people on the delinquent list, which is very exceptional. So,
We're trying to keep that. We're never going to be able to get rid of, of the collections.
The collections have been a lot less.
We have been working on getting those down big time, so. Everything's just a little process, a little tweak, a little here, a little tweak here, a little tweak there.
Anybody else have any questions for him before you? Okay, I'll read the announcements real quick. February 3rd, potential planning board meeting, yes or no? No. Okay, no planning board on the 3rd. And then February 10th will be our next commission meeting. I don't know anything else. Anybody have anything?
First Friday on the 6th.
Well, yeah. So we will go to public participation. So who would like to speak on non-agenda something? Ms. Langston? Looks like you're the only one.
Somebody's gonna have a comment after I get done with my comments. Right, well, we all know what the transparency meeting is, and we all know what the nepotism meeting is. I'm sure we do, don't we, as public officials, I'm sure we do know that. Something has come to the attention of some citizens, this week. And so I feel obligated, since we all feel obligated to do things, I feel obligated to bring it up at the meeting. About us hiring a company named New Image Painters LLC. And it looks like they were contracted to perform painting and carpentry services for the city. And the most recent thing was, I think, Patterson Park, on here. It looks like I did a public records request, and there were some financial records. They indicate that we paid them for the fiscal year of 2025 of $20,000 and $20,503.22. Now, my question is we employ a maintenance person that we pay over $50,000 for to handle painting, repairing door frames and stuff. So I am kind of concerned that we're paying another company $20,000 when we have an employee that's hired to do said things for said city. And also we have other city employees that could help out, instead of costing additional money. Right, additionally, the director of leisure services, I do have to go back a minute, because the owner of the New Image Painters LLC is the son of our director of leisure services. Which he is considered a public official, and so that raises concerns of a potential conflict of interest. It raises serious concerns regarding nepotism, the appearance of impropriety, and the possible misuse of his position. And particularly in light of the invoices were signed off by him. According to notes on some of the invoices, it looks like they were paid by him, which I'm assuming that would be with his city credit card. There are Florida statutes that cover this, about the ethical standards for conduct of public officers. Florida statute 112, 313, subsection 3 through 7, 112, 311, 112, 3135, has to do with the nepotism. And if anybody is questioning, his position would be considered a public official, based on, you know, him managing people and hiring, him taking bids, or, you know what I mean, or hiring, companies. So I think that we have an issue somewhere.
So how many, different invoices did you look at to add
I
up
looked
to
at the whole year.
20,000?
I have them right here, if you want to see
Yeah,
them.
I wanted to know how many there were total.
I don't remember how many there were, but
And how many, over how many years?
this is just for the, I think, 2025, fiscal year, wasn't it? They did do, I did do a public records request. There were, somebody that said that it was possibly going back longer, but there were no public records, stating that, you know what I mean, that it was possibly longer.
So were all of these small jobs and, less than 2,500 a job?
Well, it might have been, I think some of them were, but overall, it's $20,000 when we already pay somebody over $50,000 that should be handling this within the city.
And that's your opinion, they should be handling.
What do you mean, that's my opinion? That's what a maintenance person is for, is it not?
No, it means if they're busy,
I mean, are
sometimes
you really
things
going
have
to
to be
get up here and
contracted out.
defend? Are you really going to get up here and defend the impropriety or
I
the
don't think it's
making it look
impropriety.
impropriety or possible a conflict? I mean, really, is that what you support as a commissioner?
No, it's not.
I'm sure the taxpayers would love to hear how you feel about,
I think they'd love to hear facts and not a bunch of.
I have facts.
innuendos.
What more facts do you want? I have
No,
invoices, I have
please
state
don't.
I
statutes.
asked you how many different
And I
invoices.
said,
there
I
were.
have them right here. I don't know how many, but I will be glad to let you look at them if you would like.
Sure. Thank you.
Like it.
You said it.
Maybe I should have asked permission, just like you do in court, to approach you.
Mr. Owens. Would you please, could you state?
Yeah, I talked to the city manager earlier this week, when this issue came up, and, yes, chapter 112 deals with the ethics of public officers and anti-nepotism and all that, and, I think, certainly, the way that works is, with nepotism, you don't want to, a department head, a director, applies to them, for sure. You don't want to influence the decision, so as long as it's approved by the city manager or the finance director or whatever, which what I was told happened, that's okay as long as that director or the person with the family relationship didn't influence the decision. So the city manager looked at it and said, okay, this person does a good job, it's below the threshold, doesn't need to go out for bid. That part's okay. You've got to look into, was there any sort of undue influence or not? So if the city manager looked at it and thought it was fine and it wasn't the director's decision who has the family relationship, then that'd be okay. You've got to look at all the facts.
And there were.
But those chapter 112 is there, applies, there's conflict of interest stuff, so obviously you don't want a department head sitting there just on his own, approving and spending money for son, daughter, mother, wife, whatever. But city manager can.
And it looks like there's 19 invoices, most of them under 1,000.
That doesn't, honestly, that part doesn't matter.
I pulled the documentation and I showed 11 from 2024 and 6 from 2025. When this came up back in 2024, I believe it was, don't hold me directly to that because I didn't make notes. Mr. Laguerre approached me and said, I'm having trouble getting people to paint, but my son has a painting company and he can do small jobs for us. They're going to be under the threshold. I said, right there on the spot, I said, let's walk across. I want to bring in an impartial person to hear this too. I sat down with Tim and David Schultz. We went through the policy manual. Policy manual was very specific. We did not feel like we were breaking any policy by allowing this. And we went ahead and we approved it. At which point, everything was done, it was below the threshold of having to go out for bid. And also, of course, this week, I did go ahead, I asked our new finance director to do an evaluation on the complete situation. He went through it. He came back in. He said, as long as you were notified, and I told him at which point not only was I involved in it, but Mr. Schultz, who, as y'all know, Mr. Schultz was so straight lines across everything. He was, and we both agreed that it was okay, that we were not breaching anything. We do have maintenance workers. Exactly. I have two guys that I share part-time maintenance with, leisure services. They're packed with stuff to do. Not only, they handle maintenance from everything to replacing carpet to, they do our HVAC cleaning. They're the ones that put up all the row fencing out here that you see. They do everything for us. And they're slam packed all the time. And so I did not have a problem with Tim's son doing it. I actually went out and looked at some of the quality of work. He goes above and beyond. Of course, why would he not want to go above and beyond for his father? He doesn't want to disappoint. All the work he's done has been out in the public. Everybody can see it. He has done an excellent job. He has gone above and beyond on a lot of the projects for us. And we followed the procurement guidelines to a T. We did not break any rules. We did not break any laws. If this commission thinks that this is inappropriate, I would suggest we change the procurement guidelines because we followed the guidelines. I covered it with Mr. Obo's here, and he says that there's no improprieties, so I can throw it back at y'all. If y'all don't like the policies, it's the policies that was adopted by the commission. We just follow them.
The city manager, I think anybody can make the policy work if you want. It's easy to break projects down in small. First of all, if you're aware of it, it should have been transparent for you to tell this commission that this was going on, that we had a family member that we hired, a director, okay? How many more do we have like this in the city that we, the commission, are not aware of?
I don't believe there's any. I don't do anything that the procurement guidelines don't say that I should
I understand the procurement guidelines.
This was a couple of years ago, and we did it.
You could break that project down to 20 different projects so they could fit your guidelines.
Well, in 2024, I'm showing there was about 13,000 spent. In 2025, there were over a 5-month period, there was about 6,000. If y'all would like for me to notify y'all,
This is not an issue of the monetary threshold.
I understand.
This is an ethics.
It's an ethical issue. In my mind,
Right.
It's an ethic issue that we're not being ethical with our taxpayers. And our city manager is not being ethical with our commission. If he knew that we had a family member of a director doing this, then I would think that our city manager would bring that to our attention. Oh no, let's hide it until somebody finds it, and then we can bring it up. And
there was nothing hid. These are all public documents.
Well, why didn't you bring it to our attention? You don't think it was that important that we had a family member of a director doing work for the city? That it was that important for you to bring it to our attention?
Commissioner, I don't think it was necessitated. They confirmed with the attorney and an impartial third party that said, hey, there is no rules to broke. They're like, okay, if the attorney would have advised differently, that would have been the time they needed to go for it.
It's like if Tim was out there doing this on his own, if there's undue influence, different. That's not what was conveyed to me. It was brought to the city manager, brought to the finance
Said
director.
anytime this is brought forward, it must be brought before the commission and notified. I'll put it in there. Or I'll make a mental note that if it ever comes up in the future, I'll make sure y'all know about it. This was an isolated situation. It wasn't.
Well, that's what you say. It's isolated. Every time I turn around, it's isolated.
What's isolated? What else is isolated?
I intend, and I'll tell you now, to go through all the invoices that we had last year, and I don't even notice that. I'm going to go through every one of those boxes, every one of those invoices, because I just don't like the idea that we're doing business that way. It's just a perception that we give to the public. You know, you can all sit up here and say, oh, we didn't break any rules and everything is fine and dandy and it's under such a threshold. You can make the threshold work for your behalf. You know, what says that you couldn't give all those projects couldn't be done? Why it was expended to 12 projects? You know, that's something you could make fit. You know, I managed property for a long, long time. I want to make something fit. I can make it fit. So I've said enough.
Anybody else have a comment? Anybody else that is down here?
Y'all are smart enough to know the optics of this looks terrible. Tim Levier's signature is on these invoices for his son. You know, every one of you are very well smart enough to know that this is terrible, that the citizens didn't know this. This looks like nepotism. It is nepotism. And as far as it being transparent, Teresa asked for the invoices for fiscal year 2020 to 2024, and she was told there were none. Now he's telling us there was $13,000 in 2024. So something is wrong here.
The email request that I got was for fiscal year 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023.
I was under the impression it was to 2024.
And I will state that the information that I have in front of me, when she sent that out, I asked her to send me a copy and I pulled that off of exactly what was presented. It's the same document. The invoice is dated 2024 all the way down, and then there's to December, and then March, April, and then in April, there's 6 additional ones in 2025. Off of the document that was sent out. That's the information I got. I didn't pull up anything any different. Which is probably the document that you have.
Does anybody else in the audience want to comment?
Martin Vossler, 6303 Wallace Road. I didn't see anything in the city charter, so obviously I need to look at the Florida statutes. I was just curious the threshold for the bids. Say, you obviously what was the number you said,
I
25?
think it's 2,500 is the threshold.
For bids is 25,000.
25,000.
Go out for
Bids is
competitive sealed bid.
25,000. Quotes is, anything over, I think quotes is over 2,500.
Local procurement policy.
It's in our procurement policy. I think anything over 2,500,
Were these,
we get quotes.
They're all less than 2,500.
so I understand you were saying, the maintenance guys were busy doing other things. Was that other things putting these tons of shame out and doing water, or do they only do certain things, or is it water crew people that do our water?
Water does water, sewer does sewer.
Do all employees for the city have to have ethics training?
No.
No. And then, obviously, the situation was asked if you represent anybody for Port St. Joe.
Central company.
I'm sorry, thank you. And you said no, but that doesn't mean that you don't have secondary connections with other people and you do a bunch of dealings with people that they work for, or they contract and that you do. I'm not saying that you, so.
I'm on the other side of deals. They have their own attorneys, and if they have in-house attorneys, and I'm on the other side, yeah, I'm adverse to them.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to represent them or help them.
Because you basically represent the cities,
I represent
municipalities.
cities, other developers, I'm adverse to them.
Okay.
So he has to be up front.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Never have.
I mean, my brother's a professional liar too, so I know that he's adverse to other people too, and they're all on the same team. So, thank you.
They have their own attorneys, in-house. I never represent the same stuff.
That's right.
He's a lawyer. My brother's a lawyer. He's an ambulance me.
Anybody else want to comment? Nobody? Okay, well, We're adjourned. Thank y'all, everybody have a good evening. See you on February 10th.